Hey Nicole, how you doing? All right, thank you so much for kicking off our week 4 critique, planning and sketches for our nonprofit trifold brochure project. Posting early since I'm going out of town. That's cool. Awesome. Thanks for doing that. Thrive DC. Excellent. Yeah. So you looks like you picked a good nonprofit to represent in the trifold brochure. A local organization DC that's set up to help homeless and needy folks. So that's fantastic. Good job choosing your nonprofit. Um, so forth, things like food, shelter. Okay, awesome, cool. Thanks for the written little summary here. Let's jump right over to your work, which I have open right here. I think, honestly, Nicole, I think this is really a fantastic start. And those of you who are listening along and watching along here, this is how it's done. I mean, the sketches are just showing very, very clear intent. And there's really no question as to where this is going. Um, there's not a whole lot of detail in the sketches, but there's enough detail in the sketches to certainly decipher intent. And I think that is fantastic. So we're going to take a look at each of these sketches. Now, Nicole, one thing I want to mention is your color schemes. Um, it looks like you've developed a color scheme. These are really super similar. So I'm just wondering where and how you developed your color scheme, and what does it represent, so to speak. Um, I think a bright color palette is wise for the subject matter. I think that using dull, muted colors, earth tones, and such would probably not be a great solution for a organization that represents homeless and the interests of homeless folks. So I think that's fantastic. Looks like I'm just wondering if you took into consideration the color of the corporate colors of the logo when you assembled your color studies here. Just wondering, maybe you can respond and address those considerations. And also, I'm just wondering if you happen to have a chance to jump into Adobe Color to establish your color palette. All right, so there's a couple of things I want you to do and to keep in mind before we even get in to looking at the sketches and before we even get into any recommendations. And what I want you to do is I want you to remember to do plenty of visual research for this assignment. The first thing, of course, you want to go through is this planning and sketches presentation here. These are really important considerations all right here. So definitely go through here and think of how each one pertains individually to your work. Okay, then what I want you to do is do plenty of visual research. And of course, the best way to do that is just to get on Google and jump out there. And I just have trifold brochure. As you can see, as my search field, I have trifold brochure examples. And there's just hundreds and hundreds of good and some not so good, but plenty of really beautiful um, examples of trifold brochures, and that's only one possibility of the search parameters. You can also search, choose anything you want to get in there. Just the point is get in there and look at as many trifold brochures as you possibly can. That's the way research. I mean, this is called visual research, and it's so important to do ample visual research for any project that you might become involved in. I think a lot of times students think, well, it's kind of cheating doing visual research, and it's not at all. All professional designers in the planning and development stage of any project is out there doing visual research exactly like this. I know I do. And quite often, after looking at several hundred examples, I start to develop and compile these ideas and possibilities and possible combinations, visual combinations, and other associations that I may have drawn inspiration from in the visual research process of the project. So keep that in mind. And as I said, you'll find wonderful, wonderful examples. So visual research is, of course, of paramount importance. All right, at that point, I want to mention that next week, in next week's announcements, in the announcement area, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a few tutorials on creating trifold brochures. I didn't want to spring that a little too early. I want to wait till next week so you can have that fresh to look at while you move to the digital stage. Okay, enough of that, right? Let's jump into the work. Okay, first example. I think your sketches are really fantastic. Each one showing very, very clear intent. The two trickiest panels are on the front of the brochure. It's the far right and the middle panel. Far right is going to end up being the front cover, and the middle is going to be the back cover. So typically you use the back cover for a lot of contact information. So this is beautiful. This is excellent right here. I also think that it's very, very interesting that you're using the double spread on the inside fold. You can even use a triple spread on inside fold, all three columns. You can full bleed that and assemble that as one composition, or you can use individual panels, or you can use two on one side, one on the third. Any configuration is perfectly fine. And these are some of the things that you'll find out in the visual research stage. This is excellent. I like the front cover here a lot. I think it's very interesting. Not so sure. Oh, I see. So the picture is going to go in there. Got it. Okay. Probably would group the telephone number with the contact information, just so we have proximity and we establish hierarchy based on placement and proximity. So this is part of the contact number, contact information, so it would make sense to group it with the contact information. I think this is great, right? I love this inside spread. This infographic here is powerful. I think it's really fantastic. This is good stuff right here. I love this inside spread. Very, very effective. So far in everything I'm seeing, honestly, I think that this cover with this inside spread, okay, and then I think that's a really good combination so far. And then all that would entail is for you to design the back and that third panel on the front. So that's excellent. And then over here, just want to mention something about this configuration right here. This is the front cover, right? This is the back cover. So sometimes when you have the front spread folded out, you look at the middle panel, that's going to be the back cover. So a bleed like this might not make sense. And what I want you to do, look, it looks like you've already folded this up, but fold this up and look at it, and you'll see most people do what they do with their trifold brochure is they pick it up and they look at the front, right? And that's why the front has to be so dynamic. First thing they do is look at the front, right? And typically they'll turn it over and look at the back. So what's going to happen at that point is they're going to look at the front, they're going to turn it over and look at the back, and they're going to see half of this graphic here, and it's not going to make sense to them, okay? Keep that in mind. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm saying it could be pretty difficult. So think about that. Really, really think about handing this, and do some user tests too. I mean, hand these to your friends or your colleagues or family and say, well, how do you feel about this? And how do you feel about the way that this is configured? So this is my only area of concern, is that as this sits on the back, it's just going to show half a graphic, and it might not have complete information. That's why I think something like this configuration is done so well, because really when you think about it, the front and the back cover are of the utmost importance, because exactly what is going to happen is they're going to turn it over, or if this happens to be sitting someplace where it's face down, that back has got to have a little bit of contact. It's got to make sense to the viewer. Okay, so think about that. Okay, enough of that. So great job, great start. Please continue in the manner that you find that has the most potential, and keep doing your visual research, and let's start working on getting that document set up. Like I said, I'm going to post that video, and I'll do that this coming weekend. So so that'll be for you, waiting for you next Monday when you get started working on your digital work. All right, great job. As I said before, I really appreciate you kicking things off here. So very good job, Nicole. Thanks so much. If you have any questions or need any clarification at all, please let me know. Thank you.